All protocols observed. Good evening. Hope you're enjoying yourself so far. We're really excited to have you here this evening. People from Save the Children to guide you if you need any help. Please do remember to keep your phones on silent. Insights into the Save the Children journey. It's an organization that believes that every child communities, and so today it's all about sharing insights, engaging, and hopefully at the end of the dinner, we'll be able to walk, listen in, lean in, learn, and thereafter, hopefully, they'll be able to engage you a little later on. There will be experience in senior management and leadership in the development and private sector with a proven track record in strategic and authoritarian and South-to-South collaboration, for example, China's global role. Her work and life experience cuts across China, Africa, and
all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. All protocol observed. The program have delivered results for children around the world and also here in Kenya. Give them a healthy start in life.
Mo, as many people know her, is very passionate about children and young people. She uses her social media country through sharing her own personal experiences and learnings. Through her passion, she was appointed to the Africa Advisory Board of Save the Children.
My warm appreciation goes to the Save the Children fraternity for making it possible for us to be here today. This is an opportunity for us as government to engage and reflect with stakeholders and partners on how to improve the health and well-being of children, a core mandate that partners such as Save the Children UK help us to fulfill. The theme of our engagement and discussion this evening is prematurity and malnutrition, two of the major drivers of newborn and child deaths globally. Indeed, these deaths are preventable through low-cost interventions. The Ministry of Health is committed to reduce preterm births and malnutrition in line with the national and global targets. Through the implementation and rollout of programs like the Linda Mama program and the highly acclaimed First Lady's initiative, the Beyond Zero campaign, substantial progress has been made in reducing infant and under 5 child mortality, contributing towards our aspiration of attaining universal health coverage through a reinvigorated primary health care system and focus on preventive and promotive health. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for taking time to participate in this engagement. My role here today is not to talk so much about the achievement of the ministry, but rather the immense contribution of Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Margaret Kenyatta, to mother and child health. Many of you are aware of Her Excellency's passion and commitment to mothers and children. Her mantra, "No woman should die while giving birth," has become a call to action for many in Kenya and beyond. A true leader and mover, she has moved beyond talk and become an example of real commitment to a cause. To draw global attention to the unacceptable and needless deaths of mothers and children, she trained for months and ran and completed the London Marathon. Her Beyond Zero campaign, whose philosophy is based on strengthening existing health systems, catalyzing innovation, and accelerating action by stakeholders, has been a demonstration of what can be attained when there is collective action. The Beyond Zero campaign has provided 52 fully kitted mobile clinics to all the counties. It has mobilized political leaders, county governments, private sector, and communities towards control of HIV, maternal and child deaths. All these actions have contributed to our reduction of maternal and child mortality, increased skilled and safe delivery of pregnant women, and reduced new HIV infections. These improved health indicators ultimately contribute to attainment of universal health coverage. We are indeed greatly honored that Her Excellency chose to direct her passion and convening power as the First Lady of Kenya in the health sector.
My name is Gwen Hines. My role is to oversee the global programming by Save the Children in the development sphere, but also humanitarian. And as you know from places like Kenya, the two are increasingly interlinked. The rates of poverty and malnutrition we see in places like Turkana are the same that we see in war zones, are the same that we see in the aftermath of an emergency, and yet the families there face it every single year. So we're trying very much to make sure that we get to the bottom of these problems, that we help the families, the community to solve them in a sustainable way. We don't fly in, fly out again. We're looking for sustainable solutions. And that's very much what we're trying to do here. Our whole model, as you've heard from others, is built on partnership. And we're so excited to see so many of you here from different backgrounds to think about how we can collectively do more to help the children here in Kenya. It's the first time we've held such an event in Kenya. It's part of a wider initiative we have across Africa. And you've heard colleagues say they're part of our Africa Advisory Board. And we know there's so much commitment across Africa. There's so much interest. There's a lot of things going on. So the Advisory Board is helping us to Save the Children to identify the best ways that we can come together to do more, to help the children, but also very much to think about partnerships. We're not just interested in money. We are slightly interested in your money eventually, but we're very much interested in shared partnerships. How do we bring your skills, your expertise, the reach that you bring, combine it with the technical expertise and understanding that teams and Jane and others can offer here on the ground? I'd particularly like to thank our hosts here, Andrawala Kana and the State Bank of Mauritius. This is a fantastic event tonight, and we're very, very grateful to you for hosting us tonight and making this possible. And we're equally grateful for Ms. Barmia and Evelyn for the work that you're doing as part of the Africa Advisory Board and the work that you're doing that taking these issues to people. And as you say, there's nothing like seeing it for yourself, but not everybody can do that. So sharing your insights, sharing those experiences is really important. As you've heard from others, it's 100 years this year since Save the Children was set up. It's quite a responsibility, but it's one that we're very, very proud of. And as we've spent the year really reflecting on everything that's happened over the years, the good, the not so good, the things we got wrong, the things where ideas and ways of doing things have changed over time, we've really tried to put children's rights back at the centre of what we do, to really focus on the most deprived and marginalised children within countries and around the world, because that's where we can make the greatest difference. These were the commitments that global leaders made in 2015 when we agreed to Agenda 2030. We said we will put the furthest behind first. And for us, that means really digging deep to make sure that no child is left behind. That means it's tough. That means we're picking off the really tough issues. I've been in development far too long already, but when you look back over the progress that was made over the last 20 years, we've made a lot of progress. We've halved child mortality. That's fantastic. But the bit that's left is the really tough bit to do. It's that last mile delivery. It's the problems which are much, much harder to solve. But that's what we're here for, and that's what we hope you will join us with too. As I say, we're very much looking at partnerships. We believe that by working with you as corporations, foundations, individuals, we can achieve a bigger impact than if we do these things alone. We work across the world in 120 different countries. We have members from China, from Indonesia, from the UK, the US, all sorts of countries around the world, and we come together to try and identify the best things to do. I'm delighted that many of our friends and supporters are here tonight. GSK, Pfizer, Community Jameel, Art and Capital. You've travelled from outside the country to be here, and that's really important to us. And I know many of you are already working here in Kenya and looking at what more can be done. I had the privilege myself this time last year of going to look at the work that we're doing with GlaxoSmithKline in Bungoma County. And it is, as Mo says, it's really heartbreaking to see what the women, what the children, what the fathers face in the villages. We look particularly at the work that we do with premature babies. Babies who are born too soon, often their mothers are adolescents, and that's partly why they're born too soon. Or they aren't doing child spacing. So it becomes this vicious cycle where very young girls are married, they have children too soon, their babies are born prematurely, the babies become sick. We can turn that into a virtuous circle through very, very simple interventions like kangaroo mother care, these very simple things which you've heard about. As Jane says, the frustration is many of these things we actually know how to solve. They're very, very simple, and the communities are really at the core of this. Similarly, our partnership with Community Jamil has transformed the way that we're working with refugees. You all know the stories of Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, of generously hosting so many refugee children. There are more refugee children in Lebanon than there are actually Lebanese kids in the schools. But that is something where the country's been incredibly generous, but thinking how do we help to make sure those kids don't lose out on an education? They could be there a very long time. How do we also help the host communities to cope? Because they've suddenly had this huge influx of people and very, very generously adopted them. Illnesses such as pneumonia, which you heard again, it's the largest killer of children globally, yet it's too rarely talked about. Everybody talks about malaria. Malaria is incredibly important, but pneumonia kills more children globally than malaria does. And Kenya is one of the countries beginning to take that much more seriously. And our partnership with Pfizer is very much part of that. As well as the value of these partnerships to children, we like to think they're also of value to you as our partners. Working with GSK, we know how important it is to the staff at GSK that their company is devoted to helping children around the world. Staff at GSK very, very generously donate themselves every year into a fund, and we work with GSK to make sure that is put to the best use. We've worked with many of our partners to take issues which are being neglected to global fora. At the UN General Assembly, we take issues like refugee education. We think we can provide that platform, that amplifying the voice of what is happening in Kenya, the really impressive work on development happening in Kenya, but also the work that many of you are doing and are looking to do even more of. So it's that global partnership too, because as Jane talked about, often it is about local policy change, but some things depend on global policy change. So we also want to get that change too, and we want to work with you to help to do that. We believe there's a lot more we can do in Kenya. We hope tonight is the first of many conversations that we're going to have, and you've already heard about the split in Kenya, the haves, the have not. I spent much of my life being on the donor side, being the one handing out the money. And the donors get very caught up in these categories of countries. The better Kenya does, becomes a middle-income country, the more the donors walk away, as if the problem is finished. But actually, we know from the stories we've seen in Turkana, there's so much more that needs to happen in Kenya. So we want to work very much with you to try and tackle that. We've heard that in some places, the children really are living in conditions which are like war zones. That shouldn't happen in a country like Kenya today. But it's difficult, and it's going to get worse with climate change. So what more can we do together? You've already heard a lot about the work we do, and we're really proud of the work we do and the work we've already achieved. I think you've also heard about our commitment to innovation. That, to me, is one of the defining factors of Save the Children, and something, again, where we want to work with you. We want to harness your business skills, your technology, your research and development, your digital platforms, all these other things to help us to do even better. We're never satisfied with the progress that's being made. We can plot out to 2030 how many children will be dying by 2030 of childhood illnesses. And the challenge we set ourselves is to say, we want that to come down. So we're really trying to be disruptors in terms of what's already happening. So this is why we picked something like pneumonia, which, if that isn't tackled, 3 million children are going to die of pneumonia between now and 2030. We're just not prepared to accept that. So we're really trying to be disruptive about the way we do it. Some of the work we're doing up in Turkana on nutrition is saying that actually, saying that children should go to a health centre and get treatment isn't good enough, when that health centre could be 60 kilometres or more away. So how do we help to make sure those children are treated in the community? And we're working hand in glove on some really robust research to see, does that work well enough to then take it to scale? It's wonderful to see all of you here tonight. And I believe you all believe in the future of Kenya's children. We've heard just how young the population is in Kenya. that means we can achieve very, very fast progress here by investing in the next generation. Our friends at Andawala and Kano, Equity Bank, Safaricom, State Bank of Mauritius, who as Kenyans have chosen to explore how they can support and work with us as partners. For everyone here tonight who has not already started thinking about that, please do. Please come join us on this journey. And we very much, as I say, it wants to be a partnership. We're not in a business of you just saying, give us some money, we'll go off and do it. I think if you talk to many of the partners already working with us, you'll hear that we co-create the work that we do. And we want to make sure it's all driven by impact. Impact is a thing we want to achieve. As Kenyans, you truly do have the passion, the resources, the expertise to reach every last child in this country, and we look forward to doing it together.
It gives me great pleasure to join you this evening for this important engagement in supporting the end of malnutrition and premature births in Kenya. I congratulate Save the Children for celebrating your centenary this year. This is a great milestone for your organization and the work you've been doing around the world. Since you began your work in Kenya in the 1950s, the footprint of your mission to bring lasting change to children's lives and to protect and amplify the voices of children, especially those from marginalized communities and deprived areas, is evident. Your noble vision to reach every lost child with education, health, protection, and nutrition, as well as livelihood interventions to combat poverty and self-reliance, complements Kenya's national plan for children. The discussions we've heard this evening remind us that we must place health at the center of our socio-economic development. Nutrition is recognized as a key determinant of health and well-being. Therefore, we must place the nutrition agenda high on our list of priorities. Sadly, the prevalence of chronic malnutrition has become a concern around the world because global hunger is on the rise. Good nutrition is the fuel that drives growth and development. It helps prevent chronic diseases among infants, young children, adults, and the elderly. The government of Kenya is strongly committed to reducing hunger and malnutrition by 2030 in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 3. This is why I'm pleased to be here, because the survival of mothers and children has been my concern since I started my Beyond Zero initiative. I have prioritized nutrition because malnutrition is a big contributor to child mortality. Mothers who suffer from malnutrition are also at high risk of premature birth. So I thank Save the Children for recognizing that ending malnutrition needs partnerships of many actors, from business to industry to philanthropists and other health stakeholders. It's everyone's concern to care to ensure that all children and families are protected from hunger and malnutrition. This event brings together philanthropists and the business community, who are both key players in driving economic development and prosperity, to engage and consider investing in the nutrition agenda and contribute to building a healthy workforce which is the engine of development. Your investments and success models are determined by impact and long-term solutions that benefit our country. And investing in a healthy generation for our future workforce is a good return on investment. I'm confident that working together, we can eliminate hunger and malnutrition with the right policies that bring marginalized individuals, groups, and communities from the peripheries to the core of development. We can make achieve our national and global target to leave no one behind. I'm confident that this goal is possible in our lifetime.